Hello, tonight an 8-year planning row in Dorset ends with an elderly couple being sent to jail. The Gurkhas move on to the streets of Brighton to clear up the aftermath of the storms, and tonight we talk to one of the great entertainers, Tommy Steele.
BBC 2 is now experiencing the pure hell of St Trinian's. This is BBC1.
The 6 o'clock news from the BBC with Nicholas Witchell and Philip Hayton.
Good evening. The headlines at 6 o'clock. Share prices around the world have begun to recover from their dramatic slump. After Tokyo showed record gains, London dealers saw prices rise, but the mood is still nervous. In New York, after 4 hours of trading there, the main index is up 160 points. Also tonight, as southern Britain recovers from the latest weather problems, the government promises emergency aid. The refugees fleeing from Jaffna as Tamil guerrillas turn down a ceasefire in Sri Lanka. How the primitive life in Afghanistan could drive out the might of the Soviet forces. And the woman who turned an investment of 40 pence into £1 million. Day 3 of the stock market disarray, and around the world the main markets have been trying to get back onto their feet. Tokyo did quite well, London is still a little shaky, but tonight New York seems to be leading a recovery of sorts. Mrs. Thatcher returned to Britain from America and spent an hour this morning with the Chancellor of the Exchequer. He told her there was no cause for concern, the economy is strong. But the city was still uneasy, baffled by what's happened, unsure which way to move now, and at one stage hindered by a complete breakdown by one of its computers. Overnight, there'd been a hopeful message from Tokyo. On Monday and Tuesday, the Japanese market fell by nearly 4,500 points. Last night, it went up by just over 2,000. London opened after 2 days in which its main index had lost 500 points. Today, it was edging up again. It closed a short time ago up 142 points. And in New York, which crashed 500 points on Monday, recovered a little yesterday, the signs so far today are that the recovery is continuing. Their index is up 160 points. In a moment, I'll be talking live to Tim Sebastian in Wall Street to hear the latest from the New York Stock Exchange. But first, the day in London, where the mood was a little brighter, but the feeling was that they're not out of the woods yet.
At last, things seem to be on the up again in the city, but there's still a good deal of confusion. The dramatic falls of the last 2 days have made dealers nervous. That was reflected in share prices, up this morning, then slipping back as everyone waited for the opening of Wall Street. So what's the outlook now?
I think it's really a case of mass fear and mass psychology. We're in danger of talking ourselves into a recession, and as with 1929, it could be a finance industry-led recession.
What the city's looking for is stability, and the events of the last 48 hours have changed the psychology of the markets. Some city men found time to slip out for a moment of contemplation. But events were moving too fast for the computer, and the prices screen went blank. One interesting figure, though, did come out. Building Society withdrawals last month rose to more than £7,000 million, much of it to pay for shares in the TSB and Rolls-Royce. After the crash, that's unlikely to happen again, even with the BP share offer underway. But the trauma won't subside just like that. It used to take a year for shares to fall this far, and it's all happened in just 2 days. And it will be a brave man who said the crisis was over.
John Fryer in the City of London. In Wall Street, at the New York Stock Exchange, is our correspondent, Tim Sebastian. Tim, what's the latest news?